Hey everybody. A couple quick notes before starting today's episode. First off, I just want to give thanks to Mr. Mystical Toad for donating to the show. Your support is so appreciated. Thank you. The second and final thing on the list is I got another 5-star review on Podbean. Well, I guess you can't necessarily say it's a 5-star review, but it's worded in a way that to me is 5 stars. It's also by Mr. Mystical Toad. They say, very real dialogue on what is societally viewed as a taboo topic. Includes the good, the bad, and the ugly, without being preachy or focused on recovery. Philip does a great job of balancing the engagement of the listener, the subject of the day, and himself in a meta-cognitive and intellectual way. Even if you have had minimal exposure to psychotropic substances, you will be able to gain an understanding of all sides of the substance. Wonderful podcast, Philip. I look forward to many more listening opportunities in the future. Thanks a lot, Mr. Mystical Toad. If you find intellectual or entertainment value in psychotropic, be sure to leave a review in iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, if you'd like to write in and share a story of your own, or potentially be on a future episode of Psychotropic, you can do that at www.psychotropicpodcast.com. Get a hold of me and let's make something happen. Having said all that, I hope you enjoyed today's show. Thanks for listening, everybody.
A big part of my life, unfortunately, like, I live in a decently small town, and over the past 4 years, there's been over 60 people that I knew, or family or stuff, that have died from, like, murder or drug overdoses. And it's just been fucking terrible. Once heroin hit town, there's a bunch of people already on pills and stuff, and it got out of control. One of my friends, I let him stay with me after he got out of jail, and he's like one of my best friends, and he was trying to get clean and stuff, and we went to a get-together for a friend that had died from heroin, and we got drunk and stuff, and came back to the house, and when I got back, he walked inside, went over to my truck, and my girlfriend came running out. She said, "Hey, this guy is blue on the ground." I went in, and he was like not responsive, blue, just dead in my carpet. And I ended up like I did CPR and breathed for him until the paramedics came, and they ended up being able to save him. It was really crazy too, because like I was breathing for him, and when the cop and paramedic came in, I like got up and backed up, and as soon as I like backed into my bathroom, and I looked down and seen the cop go and reach into his pocket, and he pulled out a spoon, a needle, and an ounce of heroin. And it was just like, holy fuck.
Psychotropic presents Charlie. Did you know that he was using like that?
No. I told him if he was clean, he could come to my house. And I'm not like a hypocrite. Like I did stuff. Like I'd take painkillers sometimes or different stuff. But I never fucked with heroin. I despised it. Like I said, we lost more friends than is believable if I just told somebody. Like, it was like every week a friend would die. I've never done heroin. I snorted it one time, but I didn't really feel anything. I don't know if it was bad or whatever. But, like, I kind of take my experience with fentanyl and can kind of see. Like, I remember, like, a friend of mine, he got some of the patches, and he was like, here, like, cut me off a tiny, tiny strip of one. And he was like, here, just fold that over, put it in your tongue, or under your tongue, and suck on it. And I mean, the tiniest strip, like 1/20th of a patch. And I was fucking ripped, like, for hours. And I mean, I felt amazing. Like, and I remember the next day I felt real shitty. I ended up getting a hold of him and got some off of him. And I had like a week where I did like 2 of these patches or something, and it was great. And then I withdrew from them for like 2 weeks. It seemed like even just a short amount of time doing it, maybe I did a lot and was sucking on it, but it was just like so intense that I had a real bad experience after. And then after, it was probably a month or 2 later, I went and found some from a guy that he had like 3 or 4 of them, and I bought them. And I remember thinking like, oh, I'll take a little bit more. And it was like 8 o'clock at night. I went, picked up my girlfriend, and she had just moved in with me, and I ate like a bigger chunk. And on the way home, I was like almost dozing off, like I was fucked up from it. And we got home, and I remember it was like a great night. Like, we had sex for a super long time, and like, it was just an awesome night. Like, me and her, and next morning I had to work, and I had to be there at 6 a.m. Well, I woke up, and I was running late, and when I took off, I realized I was still real fucked up from this. And I remember, like, I dozed off while I was driving, and I woke up, slapped myself, like, shit, I was on the other side of the road when I woke up, and this was like a decently busy highway, and it happened again. I dozed off, and I'm like, oh, fuck, maybe I should pull over. I gotta get to work. Well, I keep driving, I doze off, next thing I know, I open my eyes, and there's just a Jeep right in front of me, like headlights coming straight for me. And I go, and we both try to move out of the way, but we both go the same way, and like literally hit head on. And that kind of changed my life, like, good and bad ways, I guess. For one, it made me, I broke my pelvic bone in 6 different places, and that was terrible. The recovery was terrible. I ended up getting on like Lortabs and Percocets and stuff more and more. But I also told myself, like, I'm never fucking fentanyl again. Like, that shit is just too intense, and I just have such an addictive personality. Like, I just can't fuck with some stuff. I have to force myself to stop.
Aside from the broken bones and the injuries, were there any other negative consequences?
Well, I had an awesome Jeep. Like, it was 2 Jeeps that hit each other. I had an awesome Jeep, and I loved it. And I lost that. The insurance didn't pay very much for it. And the way I walk, like, I don't like limp real hard, but sometimes it'll get to me and I'll have a little limp. So I still feel the effects 4 years later or 3 years later. But and I don't know, I feel like I have PTSD from it. I'll be in cars and I'll get real nervous if somebody else is driving, and I didn't used to do that. And I don't know, it was just a really bad experience. I no, I don't know if you want to hear this, but one kind of funny thing that happened during that, we had went camping the weekend before, or it was like, I think I wrecked on Monday, and we went camping Friday and Saturday the previous week. Well, I had all my camping stuff in the Jeep, and I remember I'd bought 2 big bottles of Fireball to take up camping, and we drank one while we were camping. There was one that was unopened, like in the Jeep still. After I wrecked, like I'd kind of come to, I seen a bright light and I hear the horn, and I'm looking around and I look down at my floorboard, and the bottle of Fireball had flown from the back of the Jeep to the front, and the top had busted off, and it was dumping like bloom, 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 just dumping on my floorboards. And I was just like, oh, fuck. Like, I went and before anybody got there, I took it and threw it under the seat, and I grabbed a bottle of lantern oil. I grabbed a bottle of lantern oil and just started throwing it around the car just because it's like real strong smell, and nobody smelled it. But it was just a crazy thing to happen right after you wreck. You look down and see a bottle of alcohol just pouring out. After that whole wreck, like, I was in shock so much that when the ambulance got there, I walked over to the ambulance, got in, and they said, oh, what's wrong? I said, oh, I think I pulled a muscle in my leg. And I said, oh, I'm going to go get my backpack out of the Jeep. I walked back over to the Jeep, and I told them, like, oh, I'm going to wait for my girlfriend to get here. She'll take me to the Marion Hospital to get checked out. And as soon as she pulled up, I took one step, and it's like, oh, fuck, I can't walk. Like, and that's when it, like, the severe pain kicked in from me having my pelvic bone broken so many spots.
What are some of the good things that came out of that experience?
I definitely watch what I do now. I can't have, like, something happen to where I get fucked up the night before and have to get up early and I'm still fucked up. And I risk my life and other people's lives. It's to this day, thinking about it, it's just so fucking scary. Like, what if I'd have killed that guy? Thank God he was okay. He didn't have a scratch on him. And I thank God every fucking day for that. But yeah, like that came out, and just having that state of mind, I was just like really like kind of in a fuck it mode. Like, I'll just do stuff, and I mean, we had the stores, and I had this good job, and a cool girl, and it's just like, didn't really care. Like, I just liked getting fucked up. But then it hit me like, what could really happen? And I mean, even though before that period I'd seen friends die and stuff, I just thought the stuff I was doing wouldn't be that bad, and that I had enough willpower to not do the stuff that was killing people. But lo and behold, I almost died. So.
Could you describe the first time you were exposed to opiates?
I know the first time my mom, I was probably 12 or 13, and I went in my mom's room, and she was on medication for long time, since I can remember, really. And I went and opened up a drawer, and she had like 6 half empty bottles and a full bottle of Lortab tins. And I remember thinking, like, yeah, I've heard of those. And I went and grabbed a couple, ate them, and it felt amazing. And then, like, for a few years, I kind of snacked some out of her drawer as the years went on. She then it's like, once you know what that's like, you find other people that do it, and it went off from there.
What did you like about the feeling of those Lortabs?
It seemed to give me energy. Like, it just made me happier, and I think maybe I was always a little depressed as, like, a kid in my adult life. Like, and not for any great reason. I didn't have a great childhood. We were pretty poor, and some bad shit happened, but it wasn't like some people have. And I was, like, always popular in school and could make people laugh and had a good time, but I always kind of like felt like I was putting on a mask for people. Like, I would go and smile and like make them laugh, but I wasn't always real happy with myself. And that was doing damn near all the stuff I've done just kind of contributes to that. Like, it's just something that I'm like self-medicating with.
Can you describe one of the best times that you experienced that involved opiates?
I think it was probably the night before the wreck. That was probably the best time. I felt fucking amazing. I mean, that was the best I felt off opiates. I mean, it later led to the worst I felt off opiates, but I mean, everything seemed to be functioning perfect, and I just felt awesome. I felt like if I got into a fight, there was nobody that I couldn't beat up. There was, like, I could just do absolutely anything. It's hard to explain, but that was one of the best times. And we had a few nights in Bloomington where we went to some parties and stuff, and I remember people having Roxy's and Oxycontin when that came out, and it was real fun times then too, so just partying at IU. It was also, I can't remember I don't know if you remember the pill that was like similar to Oxycontin when it came out. It was like after Oxycontin left. I can't remember the name of it. They were like $70 though. When those came around, I remember I had a kiosk in a mall at a nearby town, and I was working the kiosk, and I'd been taking tabs and stuff, and I had heard about these pills, and people were selling them for like $60, $70. And I was working at the kiosk, and this kid came up. He was probably 14. He was young, and I was 22, 23. And he came up, he said, "What's up, dude?" He said, "You smoke weed?" I said, I was thinking, like, get the fuck out of here. Like, little kid. And I was like, no, man, like, go on. And he said, oh, okay, you mess with these? And I was like, no, I don't mess with those. He said, oh, okay, well, I was going to tell you I had them for $13 if you want something. I said, what? Like, come on. Like, hold on, let me see. I grabbed one, and I, I ended up buying like $800 worth. That, like, all he had. So they were $13 a piece, and I ended up like selling some and making a lot of money off of it. But then it's like after a few weeks of doing that, because I ended up staying in touch with this kid, and after a few weeks of doing that, I realized that people were like selling their kids Xbox and shit to get one, to one pill. And it hit me as just like, holy fuck, like I, I can't do this. Like that shit reminded me of like fentanyl or something. I can't believe I can't remember the name of it.
That's kind of funny. You had this moral dilemma as a drug dealer. You realized
Yeah,
kind of what you were catering to.
yeah, man. And I mean, it was like hard. Like I seen some dirty shit. Like people hearing people doing some dirty shit, and it's like for one day, you go and sell all your kids' shit or pawn your car that you get to work from for 2 pills. Like Jesus, like, I don't want to be the one to ruin people's lives. It's
So
like if I'm selling weed and stuff, it's not like that. Like people are like, oh, I can't buy any weed. Let me go drive in my car. But these other things, it was just like, oh, fuck it, take my car.
do you have any experiences where you experienced some of this dirtiness surrounding
Yeah,
opiates?
man, I've seen it all. The guy that I was telling you about earlier, that I literally like brought him back to life, was one of my best friends, and it was like, I don't know if, I guess you'd consider heroin opiate, but I mean, he was one of my closest friends. I've let him live with me several different times, and that shit changes people. Like, it just changes what you want in life and what you're doing. And I mean, he would like, I used to take logs and cut them in half and then carve out the middle and make flower beds out of them. I remember one day I went to get my tools and my chainsaw. And I went to grab my tool bag, and no tools in it. Not one wrench, one socket, nothing. All my tools were gone. I was like, oh, fuck. Well, I'll look for them after I get done carving this log up, and walked over and grabbed the case to my chainsaw, and it was like light as a feather, no chainsaw in it. Like, oh, fucking great. Like, that's gone too. But I mean, just besides that, I've seen girls like hook themselves out, go and like fuck a dude in the dirty bar bathroom that we have here in town, and just real, like, it seems like that's what I've seen with girls and guys. They're stealing stuff, trying to rob people and things like that.
Why do you think it leads to these negative experiences?
I think it controls people. I think they get in that mindset to where they have to have it, and normally they wouldn't think like that, but they just do absolutely anything they can think of. Like, they'll sit and think like, how can I get $50? Like, I could, oh, I think Bobby had a TV. I'll go steal that. Like, he said he was going to be gone. I'll go over there. I mean, just anything. Like, they're just sitting there thinking, like, what can I do? I lost my job. I don't have a car. I'm stuck. I can either sit here and not be high, or I can go do something that I'm not proud of, but soon I won't remember it because I'll be high. And I don't know. It just really. I mean, I've said this about my friend, that it takes control of him. I mean, it just changes people, and it's sad, and you try to help him, but it's a lot to overcome. I don't all the way blame him. He got into it, and once you're into it, you're hooked. I think people need help. I don't think they need to go to jail. I think people need help because it's something that happens to people. I'm not going to say it's a disease because it's not like just something that grows in you, but I think that it definitely does something, and help is what people need.
What do you think allowed you to steer clear of it?
I've always been kind of stubborn with myself, and always like real self-conscious, and I think ahead on stuff. And at first I just couldn't ever shoot up like that. Needles freak me out, and I just think like if I'm gonna have a hobby, I don't want it to be sticking needles in my arm. Like that just, thinking before I do it, it's like, why the fuck would I do that? I don't care how good. I can feel good off other stuff. Like, why would I want to go that far and make it so I gotta stick needles in my arm every day? I like to think that I keep my shit together for the most part. And like with my addictive personality, it can unravel quick if I'm not on it. Because I'm already like fucking up in my eyes. I go and mess with this stuff, but I do it because I know it's not gonna kill me, the stuff that I do mess with. And I like it. This shit's awesome. I don't know why we shouldn't just be able to do some of this stuff whenever we want.
This episode was produced by me, Philip Johnson. All songs used can be found in the description section of this episode. If you liked what you heard today, please subscribe. Also, rate and leave a review on iTunes. It goes a really, really long way. If you'd like to become a patron of Psychotropic, or if you'd like to check out some Psychotropic-related swag, or if you have a story to share, you can do all of this at psychotropicpodcast.com. If you're interested in getting a better idea about upcoming episodes, be sure to follow Psychotropic on Instagram at psychotropicpodcast, all one word. Thanks again for listening, everybody. See you next time.